Alright! Exactly. So what I was trying to say, I also like to do several recordings in the same kind of setting and then just see where it gets me and then just stop at a certain point. Because this way they don't have to be overly long. I can make them short and concise, which I believe is something that people are easier to implement into their routine. Because nobody's going to watch every day like 40-minute videos where I paint something. So, the occasional video can be like this. But especially if it comes to listening to stuff, I think it needs to be short and concise. And yeah, I had to work a bit out of my habit of doing really long things. So whatever you're doing, I think it's always important to look at, what can I change? What would be more practical to do in another way? So for example, if you every morning you want to drink a coffee, but also drinking the coffee in the morning means maybe you have diarrhea later, maybe it's not such a good idea to keep doing that. And also, if you realize that drinking coffee in the morning, is something that you really like, but then you have heartburn for the rest of the day, maybe then drinking coffee every morning is something that you ought to change. So you look at the habits that you already have, and it's not just about, drinking coffee and smoking and, eating meat or something, because these are all habits, and you define yourself with a person that eats meat because you feel safe in this role. You wear certain kind of clothes because you feel safe wearing them, because it gives you the feeling you know who you are. And it's okay, but if you're stuck at a certain level, so you sometimes see people and they are 60 years old and they still wear the same things they wore when they were 20, and you have the feeling they're kind of stuck in this phase. And every time you talk to them, they still do the same kind of things. They get like shit-faced on weekends, and they make these stupid sexual jokes. So they're kind of stuck in their teenage and early 20 years, and maybe they should have changed once, but maybe their opinion of people who are older and they dress a bit differently is kind of negative, because they see them as stuck and unhappy. Well, you just happen to be as stuck and unhappy as everybody who's old now, because you're never going to be 20 again, no matter what you're going to convince yourself about. And that's why I believe introducing change is important. Change in scenery once in a while, to just go to a different place. But also change in beliefs. If you're a heavy proclaimer of science and, scientific truth, the truth about science is that it's like disturbingly false. And that's why you can basically find any opinion backed up by science on any kind of scientific matter. You can take anything and you do science about it, and then you just look for other kinds of people who did also science on the same topic, and then you realize, holy shit, it's like actually different researchers, different opinions, but it's both scientifically true. So what does it tell you? That science is bullshit and is just being used to back up people's opinions because everybody believes in science, and that just makes science a system of belief. And now I'm here talking again about all these matters. Why do I do that? Because yesterday I came here to the park, and like I said, I often observe people and I check out, what they talk about, and I listen on their conversations and I observe them. And it's sometimes really hard not to go there and say, what are you doing here? Stop using your phone, do something healthy. Why don't you leave your phone at home? So I think, rather put that kind of advice onto your YouTube channel or into your podcast or into your books, where people actually choose. They come to you because they feel like you've got something to sell. And then they come to you and they listen to it, and then you don't have to just jump at people in the park that are somehow trying to relax, because it's already better that they're in nature using their phone and that they're at home using their phone. So you have to give them credit for that. And yeah, I've seen these guys, and they were getting drunk and watching videos, and I thought, maybe you should after all continue to do these kind of things, because in the unlikely case that people like what I'm doing, I think it's highly likely, because I'm kind of an oddity, and people like oddities, that they have the feeling they're kind of weird and different, and they do their thing, and they don't really care about what they say, but I actually care about a lot what I say. It's just that I'm very much in tune with my own nature, which is basically the reason why I can talk without stopping, because everything I say is coming out of my inner truth, and because I'm connected with that, and I make sure I stay connected with that. And for that, of course, I have to observe people to see what I dislike about them, so I realize what do I dislike about myself. And that's usually the lies I tell myself, and then you just try to keep going as best as you can on your own, and try to shut people away from you a bit, because the more time you spend with other people, the more they suck you into their own kind of version of reality, and that might not be yours. Just like my dad, for example, he now came home from some kind of exhibition, and he came home early because he said he was tested for corona and it was positive. And then he talks about these symptoms that he has, and then I say, well, that's exactly what they would have used, right? I mean, they used to call that the flu, and now they're just calling it corona. And if that's a false fact, then I don't know. It's just it's not just an opinion. There's just things that are a fact, and that's a fact. And it's a fact that the exact same symptoms that previously would have been the flu are now considered to be corona. And then people say, oh yeah, the test said I have corona, and then they tell you these awful states they were in. Oh, I felt like I would almost die. Well, that's how I felt when I had the flu, and that's just something that's happening to you. And in a spiritual way, you can say, it's not the flu and it's not corona, it's just energy running off. And if energy wants to leave your system, that feels like you're dying, because a part of you is actually going. It can be like, for example, energy that was trapped in you, such as the habit of smoking or masturbating, or certain kind of habits or demons that you were nourishing, and then suddenly you stop feeding these demons with your thoughts, and then suddenly they go. And I think these things can happen in dreams, that sometimes I see things in dreams and I have the feeling, I just let go of something. So, we don't know what's going on. I mean, that's absolutely true. Nobody really knows what's going on. So why do we always act like we know it's corona or it's this or it's that? I mean, in the end, it's just something that's happening to you, and we don't really have to put a label on it or a name on it. We just have to deal with the effects that we're having. So if I'm sick, I do what I always did, and that is, rest. Like, get enough rest, get enough sleep, and maybe think about what I might have done wrong until now. So, maybe in the end, it will end up that you're going to have cancer because you ignored all your problems all the time, instead of just once in your life making a decision that would be healthy for you, instead of continuously holding on to these bad habits that you have been nourishing all the time. And I think that's just the point, to introduce change into your life, and then make change something that you get used to, and that you rather make change a habit. But also then, I was going through a phase now, and that's for tomorrow's episode.